There's been plenty of championship blowouts in sports, but a lot of these championship blowouts, one team is just straight up better than the other team. For example, TCU just had straight up zero business being on the same field as Georgia in 2022. Just outmanned, out-talented. Sure, maybe getting beat 65-7 was a little bit much, but everyone knew going into this game that Georgia was going to skull drag TCU. Well, except maybe the world-renowned college football expert Stephen A.
I think TCU's gonna shock the world. I'm picking TCU to win the national championship.
And then there's other blowouts like the KD Steph Warriors beating the Cavs, the Eagles just being on fire routing the Chiefs this past Super Bowl, and Villanova having the New York Knicks on their team destroying Michigan. But out of all of these blowouts on the biggest stage, there is one that is so bad I'm yet to have this feeling of disgust duplicated since I've watched this game as a kid. I'm talking about 2011 LSU's national championship performance against Alabama. Now, before I start, I'm an Auburn fan, so you all know who I was pulling for when I was watching this game as a kid. And I am fully convinced that as a 9-year-old at the time of watching this game live, I could have come up with a better game plan than what Les Miles and the LSU offensive staff drew up. Because what is this, man? First, let's see how this team even got to the national championship. LSU came into the season ranked number 4 and opened the season in Dallas against number 3 Oregon, who was just coming off a national championship appearance. To give you a good idea of how the Les Miles LSU teams were, in video game terms, it was basically 97 overall defenses and 84 overall offenses. And that was on full display this first game of the season. Oregon outgained LSU, but still lost by 2 possessions. Why? LSU forced 4 turnovers and kept the Ducks under 100 yards on the ground. And keep in mind, this was against an Oregon team that returned most of its high-powered offense. LSU won 40-27 and kept that momentum going throughout the regular season. The same narrative that was shown in the game against Oregon, where LSU struggled offensively but still won through elite defense and forcing turnovers, that continued against Mississippi State and West Virginia. After those games, LSU quarterback Jordan Jefferson returned from suspension, but Les Miles continued to trot out Jarrett Lee for his solid leadership, and the Tigers seemed to have a bit of a turnaround offensively. Up until November 5th, when number 1 LSU traveled to Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on number 2 Alabama, who had also been killing everybody. This was the peak of the late 2000s, early 2010 style of tough, hard-nosed SEC football. And in a game that involved a lot of punts, missed field goals, and some clutch turnovers, LSU found themselves in overtime with the score being 6-6. Oh, and Miles pulled the plug on Jarrett Lee. Yeah, dude was 3 for 7 with 2 picks. He was done, and Jefferson would be the guy for the rest of the game. On Alabama's first overtime possession, the trend of the Crimson Tide not being able to kick the ball continued, totaling up to 4 missed field goals on the night. LSU drove down the field, kicked a game-winning chip shot, and escaped Tuscaloosa with a 9-6 victory, knocking off the second-ranked Tide. 2011 was 3 years before the debut of the college football playoff, meaning only 2 teams would be able to play for a national championship. But as soon as this game ended, talks of a rematch in the national championship circulated. LSU and Alabama were both in the SEC West, so they couldn't meet in Atlanta for the SEC championship. But if the stars aligned, and somehow, some way, Alabama crept back up to number 2, we would have a rematch. And that is exactly what happened. LSU won out, finishing 13-0, winning the SEC, and had a date with Alabama in their backyard. Yes, this time around, Alabama was traveling the distance. The national championship for the 2011 season was set to be played in the New Orleans Superdome, just under an hour from LSU's campus. According to my top secret sources, aka my Bama and LSU friends that were actually at the game, the crowd ratio was probably 70-30 in favor of LSU. So LSU's got the home crowd, they're playing in their backyard against the team they've already beaten. Let's see what happens. Which, hold up, bro. Before we start, why was Gene Chizik an analyst for the national championship game? Yes, I get that he won the national championship the year before at Auburn, but come on, man. We all know that he was carried by Cam Newton. Which I ain't gonna lie, bro. Our defense was going crazy against Oregon, and Chizik was running the defense, so I'll give him that. We're getting off topic. Let's get into the game. So LSU gets the ball first, and their disaster class is about to begin. First play from scrimmage, stuffed. Second down here, we got a nice little screen to Ruben Randall, and yep, that's going to be the best play they have for a minute. 3rd and 2, and how do you fumble the ball under center, Jefferson? What are you doing? Fun fact for those that don't know, Jordan Jefferson is actually the older brother of Justin Jefferson. You know, this guy. Safe to say these dudes are known for the complete polar opposite reasons within the LSU football lore. So after that first 3 and out, LSU gets the ball back. They've got it at 3rd and 10. And why are you running a speed option on 3rd and 10 in the national championship? And real quick, one thing I'm not going to do is talk down on LSU's defense. These dudes are not going to get an ounce of help from the offense. So that means no rest, always having their backs turned against the wall, and by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, they are gassed. Next LSU possession, down a field goal now. Jefferson's going to pick up a first down. Okay, we're moving the ball a little bit. Let's see if they keep this up. And he's getting stuffed on the next play. 3rd down here, bubble screen out of the backfield, and these idiots just completely forgot to block C.J. Mosley. Next possession for LSU, and flags are flying everywhere. Look at Les Miles' face, dude. He's just dumbfounded, confused, and his face right here basically summarizes the whole night. Another 3rd down, and the ball just goes right through his hands. This dude, Brad Wing, is getting plenty of reps for the NFL scouts in the stands looking to draft a punter. This graphic right here says it all. I mean, just absolutely terrible. Manageable here, and oh, Jefferson's gonna get loose. Nope. Les Miles called a timeout. Run it again. Why did he just pump his fist, bro? Does he realize what he just did? Running it back on 3rd down, and good God, a bad snap. Punt team. Alabama kicks another field goal, and LSU goes into the locker room tallying 32 yards of offense in the national championship. My God.
Much lesser offense, just not clicking. How do you get them going in the second half?
We got to make our best calls. It's interesting. We had cadence issues, fumbled snaps. I mean, every possible mistake was made. What's got to happen at this point is we got to chuck that, and we got to go to those things that we came here to do.
Yeah, you don't say, Les. And here we go. 30 minutes left to decide the national champion. You had a whole first half of failures to evaluate. It's time to come out and not do what you just did. LSU's defense is continuing to have a pulse and give the offense opportunities, holding Bama to another field goal. And speaking of this defense, I'm going to tell you guys what I would have done if I was the LSU coaching staff. You see this guy right here? You probably know who he is. But for those who don't, that is Tyrann Mathieu, also known as the Honey Badger. This dude right here, man, when you talk about being a damn athlete, Tyrann Mathieu wipes every player on this LSU offense in terms of playmaking. All year, this dude has been making plays. He scored 4 touchdowns in 2011 as a non-offensive player through scoop and scores and punt return touchdowns. This could have been the Travis Hunter of the 2010s if he played both ways. Now, with all that being said, I don't care that he doesn't know the plays or that he doesn't practice with the offense. This is the national championship. You've got to try something. I would have straight up ran the most elementary, simple, and basic offense I could, with the sole purpose of getting the football in this dude's hands. I'd be like, Tyrann, don't worry about formations, cadences, or any X's and O's. You are going to get the ball. Just get the ball and make plays. But of course, these genius LSU coaches want to keep doing what they've been doing. First offensive possession of the second half, Odell is actually going to get open and move the chains. But now Jefferson's getting sacked. Remember when I mentioned Jarrett Lee? Yeah, the other quarterback that played while Jefferson was suspended? Yeah, Les Miles seems to have forgotten his existence because he is just chilling on that bench. Can you imagine in the 2017 national championship between Alabama and Georgia if Nick Saban kept Jalen Hurts in the game instead of putting Tua in? Well, you don't have to imagine because that is exactly what Les Miles is doing. I'm not saying Jarrett Lee is Tua, but it is the same sense in which one guy is not getting it done. You've got to at least give the other guy a chance. But he doesn't, and another possession for LSU ends in a punt. 3rd down for Alabama here, and LSU's going to get a stop. I cannot imagine how pissed I would be if I was on LSU's defense. Playing my heart off for the national championship, leaving everything on the field just to go back to the sidelines and watch this atrocity. 1st and 10, and just look at this dinosaur-ass offense, man. A speed option out of the freaking eye. Come on, man! 2nd down here, Jefferson back to pass, and what is he doing? This right here should have been the moment where Jarrett Lee is getting warmed up to go out for the next possession. Because, I mean, what was that, dude? LSU holds Alabama to a 3-and-out and a missed field goal. Man, shout out to this LSU defense, man. We got a screen here, and once again, an LSU screen ends with somebody forgetting to block the corner. The whole point of a screen is for everybody to go downfield and block, but LSU just doesn't do that. 3rd down, and Jefferson's going down. I feel like I've said that 5 times in this video, and that is the problem. That is why I believe this is the worst championship performance of all time, because it is the same exact stuff rinsed and repeated. No adjustments, no risk taking, just continuing to do the same exact stuff that hasn't worked. It's getting so bad that we're here on 2nd and 3 and we're running fullback dive. Again, the most dinosaur playbook I've ever seen in the 21st century. The score is 15-0, but it genuinely feels like it is 55-0. 3rd down, we've got another fullback dive. There you have it, everybody. LSU's offensive adjustment was more fullback dives. Well, holy balls, would you look at this. Maybe this is why Jarrett Lee is on the sideline still. I still think you got to put him in here, though, despite how egregious this touchdown to interception ratio is. 3rd and 2 here. Can LSU cross the 50? Oh, come on. Almost had it there, Hilliard. Here we go now. Jefferson is going to scramble. And oh my goodness, the LSU Tigers have crossed the 50-yard line. I mean, hey, it's a 2-possession game with a little under 8 minutes left. This could get interesting. After Hilliard got stuffed in a false start, LSU's got 2nd and long, but at least they're in Alabama territory. What was that, man? 4th and 18, Jefferson is looking to make something happen, and it gets stripped. I think you've all seen enough. Trent Richardson is going to break loose, and Alabama is going to shut out LSU 21-0. Yes, you heard me right, 21-0. They missed the extra point. Good grief, man. This is the kind of game, if you're an LSU fan, where you just sit in complete silence for the next hour. Not in pain or anger, but just in disgust. I mean, what the hell was that? Absolutely terrible. Final stats for LSU, 92 total yards, 5 first downs, 50-yard line crossed once, 0 points. Let's see what Les Miles had to say after the game.
Offense just was never able to get it going. What was the biggest problem?
We just couldn't sustain any consistency. The opportunity at first downs really were taken for granted, and until which time we weren't getting them, and then the calls became much more difficult.
As you know, there will be a ton of second guessing tomorrow, tonight. Many people calling for Jarrett Lee in the stands. What was the reason behind not putting him in tonight?
Well, we felt like with Jordan Jefferson's feet and ability to move, get out of the rush, that it was fair that he finish.
Yeah, there's no wonder LSU fans wanted this dude to be fired so bad. Anyways, that's going to do it for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have a championship performance that's worse than this one, let me know in the comments below. But after watching this, you shouldn't have one worse than this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.